The attack fell. In addition to the incredibly sharp, destructive power, a terrible hellish vortex appeared as well, filling the area around Yi Futian and giving him no power to escape. The attack fell. In addition to the incredibly sharp, destructive power, a terrible hellish vortex appeared as well, filling the area around Yi Futian and giving him no power to escape. He was completely swallowed up in an instant. It was like a flower of hell had bloomed and transformed into a killing blow. In reality, this attack was dangerous to Qi Yi as well, but he knew that as the possessor of a second-tier divine wheel, he might not have another chance in direct combat. The Yin power was integrated into Yi Futian's attacks, along with the will of the Emperor, making them absolutely frightening. He had used dark escape techniques to avoid harm, and now that he had found this life or death chance, how could he miss it? Countless people watched this attack. It would probably be the end of this fight. Everything around Yi Futian froze, and frost covered it all. Lines of qi became solid, like countless sharp leaves and branches that covered everything around him. Under the dark spear of destruction, the terrifying dark beams of light pierced downward bit by bit, trying to break through his defenses. With a loud bang, the spear reached his divine elephant battle form, making cracks appear on it. And it continued forward, piercing within. But at the same time, brilliant golden divine radiance covered Qi Ye's body little by little, and soon he was completely engulfed. The Yin power went into him, blocking his dark magic. His blood began to flow more slowly, and his divine spirit grew cold. The power in his hands grew weaker and weaker. Everyone gazed fixedly at this scene. Yi Futian's arm moved, and he stretched out his hand. The divine sword came flying back to him, and he caught it, then swept it behind him. It swept out, giving off a terrible radiance that pierced through the frozen space. It continued forward, then pierced into Qi Yi. Qi Ye's eyes narrowed, and he felt a stab of fear. There in the still space, all seemed hopeless. He was the proud son of the underworld. Was he really going to fall here? Yi Futian raised his hand and slapped it down directly on the hilt of the divine sword. A beam of even more brilliant radiance bloomed. At that moment, Qi Ye's body shattered bit by bit until he became a little more than an illusory figure. Then he disappeared completely. The heir of the Lord of the Underworld, the controller of the throne of the Underworld, had fallen. He killed him. The battle all around stopped at that moment. Many of the cultivators of the Dark Court looked over there. Had he really not been able to stop Yi Futian? After his divine radiance burst forth, Yi Futian moved into the great army, killing people all along the way. In the end, he had slain the leader of the Dark Army, Qi Yi. It was just like he had said. He had cut off his enemy's head. At a time of defeat, one man had completely turned the tables. He had cut his way through an army of Renuans and cut down Qi Yi, shattering the power of the Dark Army. At that moment, who within the Dark Army would dare continue fighting? And it was not only those on the battlefield. Those cultivators outside the battlefield also trembled within their hearts. He was dead. Within the empty palace, the cultivators who were watching were speechless. The cultivators of the Divine Palace and the Golden Divine Nation had once again witnessed Yi Futian's absolute talent. But they were covered in a cold sweat. Showing so much magnificence on a battlefield would make Yi Futian far more threatening in the future. A cold light flashed in their eyes. It seemed as if they were hiding their murderous intent. There were shaken looks in the princess and Chao Jun's eyes as well when they saw this. He had really cut him down. It looks like he has turned the tide of battle, said Chao Jun. A single man had turned the tables in favor of the divine prefecture. In the Dark Court's camp, the Lord of the Underworld let forth his terrible aura. Qi Yi was his heir, and he had been slain. Given his personality, he did not care that much about his death. The people of the Dark Court did not feel too many emotions. But the loss of his disciple made the light go out of his face. The others of the 7 kings of darkness would probably mock him for this. Moreover, because of this, he would have no way to fulfill his duty. That was the most important thing. Thus, a foul mood had come over him. This was all because of Yi Futian. If he had known this would happen, then when he had attacked the Heavenly Mandate Academy, he would have killed everyone there and not just taken Yi Qingyao away. No one spoke. There was a sense of tension in the air as everyone watched the battlefield. Back on the battlefield, Futian did not turn around. His divine sword flew back in front of him, giving off terrifying sword will. This sword was payback for those who had been slain by the Dark Court and for Qingyao, who had been taken by them. Looking up, Futian swept his gaze over the other cultivators of the Dark Court. These mighty figures of the Dark Court broke out in a cold sweat at a single glance from Futian, then they turned and fled. It was as if they feared his sudden attack. Given the power he had shown today, none of them could withstand him. At that moment, another part of the battlefield opened up. The cultivators of the evil Emperor realm stared at Futian. They knew that because of him, they had lost their advantage. There was now no more hope for this battle. If they continued fighting, Futian could slaughter them. A man who even the geniuses of god-level powers could not defeat had arisen in the original realm. At that moment, outside the battlefield, the huge matrix was surging. This made many people look up into the sky, where they saw brilliant light falling. The huge matrix was opening, and a dazzling light curtain spread out in two directions, then gradually disappeared. Soon, the matrix covering the nameless realm was gone. The cultivators of the three sides appeared up in the sky. The cultivators of the evil Emperor realm, the Dark Court, and the Divine Prefecture were all there. The Divine Prefecture was represented by the Palace Lord of the empty Imperial Palace. His gaze fell upon Futian. A look of admiration was in his eyes. Because of this battle, Futian's name would be like the sun in the sky throughout the 9 realms. No one would be able to compare to him. This was not just a battle of the original realm. It had drawn in 3 god-level forces. And yet he had still performed brilliantly on the battlefield, crushing all his opponents. This news would spread through the 9 realms before long. "Thank you for your help," said the Palace Lord of the empty Imperial Palace with a smile. When they heard this, everyone listening knew that victory had been decided. Their opponents must be giving up. When the cultivators of the Dark Court and the evil Emperor realm heard this, their faces darkened. They had lost. These 2 great forces had allied and yet had still been defeated by the Divine Prefecture. Or rather, they had been defeated by one man. Futian retracted his aura. He was a little tired. Although, as he grew stronger, unleashing the will of the Emperor would no longer cripple him as it had before, he would still become quite tired. It used a lot of energy. He did not know if this battle had been a blessing or a curse. It was just that in the previous situation, he had not had a choice. He had originally planned to first withdraw and then lowly hunt his opponent. But his opponent had not let them go. If he had not acted, many of the people beside him would have fallen. He had to launch his own attack. "Let us return," said the Palace Lord of the empty Imperial Palace. Suddenly the cultivators of the Divine Prefecture gathered to him. They did not say anything as they left. They were worried about what would result from all of this. Futian left with them as well. Behind him, everyone was watching him. Because of this battle, he would no longer only be known in the Divine Prefecture. The cultivators of the evil Emperor realm and the Dark Court would all remember him. Up in the air, the group of cultivators went on their way. The Palace Lord of the empty Imperial Palace came up to Futian and said, "Thank you for your help today." "I only did my duty," said Futian. "If it weren't for you, we likely would have lost this battle," said the Palace Lord. "Previously, our opponents had the advantage. But in the moment that Qi was slain, they knew that they had lost and did not continue fighting, admitting defeat instead. They probably did not want to see any more of their people killed or injured. After all, no one could withstand you." Futian nodded. It seemed like these top forces were wise as well. Although the struggle for the original realm was extremely important, once they realized they could not succeed, they had immediately given up. At that moment, a figure walked towards Futian. It was the leader of the Dark Phoenix Division. He smiled and nodded at Futian, saying, "It seems we had a misunderstanding before. Please forgive me." His power had won respect. If Futian had not shown such strength, this man would not have personally come to make things right between them. This man was someone who the Divine Prefecture had focused on training well. But Futian had won the glory in this battle. He had turned the tide all by himself. Previously, he had blamed Yi Futian for not fleeing the battlefield to prevent further losses. "It is no matter," answered Yi Futian with a nod. Looking at it from the man's perspective, he could naturally understand where he was coming from. But he was not here to make friends, so he kept a neutral expression on his face. After all, this was Dong Huang the Great's man. And as for Yi Futian, perhaps they would be enemies one day. The other man realized this as well, and so he said no more. He walked over to the other side. The other people of the 9 realms who were there, like Shen Hao and Di Wu, felt conflicted within their hearts. They had been in danger of dying in this battle. And they had not been good enough to influence the overall situation of the battle. And they had even fallen short in their small-scale battles. Shen Hao thought back to when they were in the God's Relic, and he had disparaged Yi Futian. He would never have thought that now Yi Futian was on a much higher level than him. He had to look up just to see him. How ironic was that? They no longer were even worthy of being called Yi Futian's opponents. If they fought him, they would probably be killed in an instant. At the empty imperial palace, the mirror within the sky disappeared, but the cultivators did not leave. They stood there, waiting quietly. Princess Donghuang did not leave either. She waited for the warrior's triumphant return. Countless cultivators were gathered together outside the palace. This battle had deeply shocked them as well. Finally, powerful auras appeared off in the distance. A group of figures gradually came into view. After a while, they could see a mighty formation of troops coming towards the empty imperial palace. They stopped outside the palace and everyone looked at them. Or rather, they all looked at Yi Futian. Yi Futian had once again shocked the world in this battle. Everyone knew of him now. He was the foremost talent in the 3,000 realms of the Great Path, and no one would ever again doubt that. Now they only wondered how high he would climb in the future. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. In the empty imperial palace, Princess Donghuang and others were standing on the steps. Below them, mighty figures from various factions were all here. The empty imperial palace's palace lord walked forward and bowed slightly. "Your Highness, the mighty figures who fought in the divine prefecture fought bravely in a bloodbath and were lucky to have come out alive." Princess Donghuang looked at the crowd and spoke, "Thank you all of you for giving your all in the war of the original realm. We will record down the names of everyone who has participated in the war and the course of the war. We will reward you based on your contributions." In the empty imperial palace, Princess Donghuang and others were standing on the steps. Below them, mighty figures from various factions were all here. The empty imperial palace's palace lord walked forward and bowed slightly. "Your Highness, the mighty figures who fought in the divine prefecture fought bravely in a bloodbath and were lucky to have come out alive." Princess Donghuang looked at the crowd and spoke, "Thank you all of you for giving your all in the war of the original realm. We will record down the names of everyone who has participated in the war and the course of the war. We will reward you based on your contributions." The mighty figures all nodded. Although they had defeated their opponents, the atmosphere in the empty imperial palace was slightly weird at the moment, and there was not much joy. After all, the one who had performed most outstandingly in this battle was Yi Futian, and the mighty figures from all factions had all suffered losses. Yi Futian did his best to turn the tide this time. "He should be given the most credit," the empty imperial palace lord said while smiling. He had previously thought that they would definitely lose this battle. However, Yi Futian unexpectedly turned the tide of battle single-handedly and led the mighty figures of the divine prefecture to victory. The mighty figures from the Heavenly Mandate Academy all smiled. Yi Futian's performance in this battle was amazing. However, there were also allies who looked thoughtful. Emperor Nan of the Nantian Divine Kingdom then spoke up, "Although Yi Futian's efforts in this battle started to turn the tide, we won the war because everyone fought courageously. Everyone who participated in the battle was the same, and those who died also made their own contributions. Let's divide the credit equally." Many people looked towards Emperor Nan, and many of them looked shocked. He was an ally of the Heavenly Mandate Academy and regarded Yi Futian highly. Although they had an ordinary relationship, he let his daughter go to the academy to cultivate. Some people even claimed that he was preparing to entrust Yi Futian with taking care of Nan Luotian. Hence, they could all tell how highly he regarded Yi Futian. However, his words at this point seemed to be spoken to erase Yi Futian's credit. Lord Taishan, the Divine Palace Lord, and others quickly reacted and understood what Emperor Nan meant. Lord Taishan also spoke. Your Highness, as a member of the Divine Prefecture's Heavenly Mandate Academy, everything that he did in this battle is what was expected of him. There's no need to reward him. What Emperor Nan said is extremely true. Those who died and sacrificed themselves in this battle should be honored even more. Their words made the atmosphere in the empty Imperial Palace even weirder. There was no atmosphere of victory at all, and many top figures were standing there silently. The silence was a little terrifying. They locked their gaze on Yi Futian like hunters staring at their prey. Of course, Yi Futian understood as well. He bowed and said, Your Highness, I am originally from the Divine Prefecture. It is my duty to serve the Divine Prefecture. I do not need any reward. Princess Donghuang looked at Yi Futian. She naturally sensed the weirdness of the atmosphere as well. Your Highness, I feel that Yi Futian is guilty. At that moment, a voice sounded. This voice was thunderous, and everyone in and outside of the empty Imperial Palace could hear it clearly as it even echoed. In an instant, everyone focused their attention on the person who spoke. The top figure of the Shen clan, Shen Gao. He stepped forward and stopped below the steps. He looked at Princess Donghuang and said, I feel that Yi Futian should be executed for his crime. The moment he mentioned execution, everyone within and outside the empty Imperial Palace was shocked. The cultivators from the original realm outside, who had waited for the mighty figures to return in victory, were all a little confused. Yi Futian is guilty and should be executed? Yi Futian single-handedly turned the tide of the war of the three factions, but now he should be executed? Everyone was a little confused, but they soon realized what it meant. No wonder Emperor Nan and the others tried to erase Yi Futian's contributions, and Yi Futian himself dared not ask for a reward. If they looked at it thoroughly, Yi Futian's crimes and contributions were seemingly a little complicated. He should be executed? Princess Donghuang spoke while looking towards Shen Gao. Beside her, Chao Jun and Du also looked towards Shen Gao. They naturally knew this top figure of the Shen clan. Yes, Shen Gao spoke up. The battle of the original realm is a battle between the Divine Prefecture, Dark Court, and Empty Divine Realm. But Yi Futian deliberately hid his strength and did not do his best, making the war extremely passive initially, and we even almost lost the original realm. Yi Futian was powerful but deliberately hid his strength. He must have sinister intentions. Besides, if it wasn't for the threat to the Heavenly Mandate Academy's own allies as well as Yi Futian himself, he might have continued to hold back and chose to retreat, and he did do so on the battlefield. He deceived the princess as well as everyone in the Divine Prefecture by deliberately not fighting. I think that if our opponents didn't gang up on Yi Futian and his companions, Yi Futian would have just let the battle of the original realm be lost without displaying his strength. He does not care about the Divine Prefecture and original realm. Also, and most importantly, the various forces of the Divine Prefecture participated in the battle and bathed in blood. Many of their strongest fighters died on the battlefield. Even though they were not strong enough, they still defended the original realm with their blood. Yi Futian is a member of the Divine Prefecture. If he didn't have the strength, no one would say anything. But he was able to defend the Divine Prefecture, yet he let it all happen, watching many of the people of the Divine Prefecture who participated in the war die on the battlefield. This includes many members of the Shen clan. He should be put to death for his crimes. Shen Gao's voice was powerful, and the sound rang out continuously, causing this space to tremble. His voice reverberated in the mighty figure's eardrums. What he said was all true. Yi Futian could not deny it, and all the mighty figures saw it with their own eyes. He had indeed not unleashed his full strength before. The Golden Divine Nation was ordered by the princess to participate in this war and lost many cultivators because of this war as well. Among the casualties, there were those of the royal bloodline who died fighting. Yet there are people who have the ability to turn the tide of battle but deliberately hide it, resulting in the unjust death of all the strong fighters. They should be executed for their crimes. The Golden Divine Nations Guide Song stepped out and spoke aloud. Princess, please convict Yi Futian to pay tribute to those who died unjustly in this battle. The mighty figures of two top powers stepped out and declared Yi Futian guilty. It was as if Yi Futian's strength to take this victory had instead become the reason to convict him. That was because he had hidden his strength previously. Outstanding trees will always get destroyed by the wind first. What's more, Yi Futian was so magnificent today. How could those factions that already had grudges against him let him go like that? Therefore, Emperor Nan wanted to diminish Yi Futian's credit at the first opportunity. However, it seemed that those factions were not going to let go. This time, if they did not make trouble, the princess might value Yi Futian even more highly. If she did so, it would spell disaster for them. Hence, they struck preemptively. Princess, please convict Yi Futian. Another person stepped out and spoke. This time, it was a mighty figure from the martial god clan. He said, "There are also many people from my clan who died in battle." It was as if those who died in this battle were blaming Yi Futian just because he did not do his best and hid his power. Princess, please convict Yi Futian. Princess, please convict Yi Futian. Multiple voices rang out as more and more factions walked out. The various factions that had allied with Yi Futian in the war all came out, including the faction holding back the Dou tribe, as well as the clan of the Seven Slayers in the Emperor Star realm, the School of the Emperor Star. Princess, the Holy Land of Taichu and many other divine prefecture factions came to the original realm to participate in the war and gave their all. Yet, some people pretended to care about the divine prefecture but really only cared about their own interests, causing many innocent people to die in battle. They also deceived you and everyone in the divine prefecture. Even though they have contributed to our victory, their crimes are still unpardonable. The powerful fighters of the Holy Land of Taichu also walked out. This time, so many forces walked out at the same time that it created a great movement. Now, they wanted to use the movement to get rid of Yi Futian. Many people did not expect. Even the strong fighters behind Princess Donghuang were a little surprised. They did not expect that so many people wanted Yi Futian dead. So it seemed that being too outstanding was also dangerous. It would make people feel threatened, especially those factions that had a grudge against you. They, in turn, would be afraid. Princess, at this time, Emperor Nan spoke up. Although Yi Futian hid his strength before this war, he had been fighting as best as he could and killed many strong opponents. It was only after the major factions retreated that he prepared to retreat with the people of the divine prefecture. He was only forced to fight a battle of life and death later on, and he did not have absolute confidence that he would win. If not for the cooperation of the cultivators of the mountain realm and strong fighters of the divine prefecture, he would also be in extreme danger. On the battlefield, one should always improvise. Yi Futian must have hidden his strength to take the opponents by surprise and kill them, and he did do so. I think that even if he is guilty, his merits are enough to offset his crimes. Lord Taixian also stepped out to speak. I also agree with what Emperor Nan said. Even though Yi Futian has made mistakes, he could be considered to have given his all by using his strength to turn the tide and win this war of the original realm. I hope that Your Highness will make a clear decision. Several people spoke up for Yi Futian one after another, and this time, they were all allied forces of the Heavenly Mandate Academy. Princess Donghuang looked at Yi Futian and said, "Don't you have anything you want to say for yourself?" Your Highness, after I fell into a coma in the Shadow Realm, I was able to control some power of Yin, but I do not know exactly how strong the power of Yin is. I did my best to kill the enemy on the battlefield. After the major forces retreated, I planned to temporarily evacuate with the Divine Prefecture Army and then hunt them down one by one with more certainty. I hid my strength to retain the element of surprise. When I was surrounded, all I could do was fight back desperately. How could I have predicted the outcome? Yi Futian responded, "As to why they are like this, Your Highness must know, they have been at war before, so, naturally, they want me dead." Princess Donghuang nodded. "You do have a grudge with one another. The Tianshan Academy has never cared about these matters and has no grudge with either side. Does the Tianshan Academy think that Yi Futian is meritorious or guilty? The college chief of the Tianshan Academy, Jian Ao, raised his head. He stepped forward and said, "Princess, the Tianshan Academy cultivators have had direct contact with Yi Futian on the battlefield before. At that time, many people were discussing that Yi Futian had saved many Tianshan Academy disciples. Although I thank him for that, if we look at everything that happened today, Yi Futian does have the suspicion of deceiving your highness and the powerful fighters from all factions of the divine prefecture." Jian Ao opened his mouth and said, "As for the specific merits, I believe your highness already has her judgment. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible." Yi Futian glanced at Jian Ao after hearing what he had said. Earlier, Jian Ao did not lift a finger even when Yi Futian was in mortal danger. However, Yi Futian still saved many people from the Tianshan Academy on the battlefield. Although he did not expect that Jian Ao would thank him or anything of that sort, he thought that Jian Ao would have at least been neutral. Unexpected to him, Jian Ao actually said something like that. While he did credit Yi Futian's achievements, saying that Yi Futian had lied to the princess and the people of the divine prefecture was the same as agreeing that he was guilty and should be punished for it. A typical example of biting the hand that feeds him. However, Yi Futian was somewhat confused. What was the reason for Jian Ao to target him? Between the two of them, there was no conflict of interest. In addition, a person on Jian Ao's level would not do something without his own logic. Could it be that he was doing it for Jian Qingzhu? Was he, Yi Futian, an obstacle to Jian Qingzhu's path to success? After all, before he appeared, Jian Qingzhu was undoubtedly the most exceptional person in that era. From the abilities and strength of Shen Hao, Di Wu, and the rest, it was obvious that they could not beat Jian Qingzhu. If Yi Futian's group did not appear, Jian Qingzhu might have really become an unparalleled existence in the 9 realms in this era. In addition, Jian Hao had always wished to send Jian Qingzhu to the divine prefecture to train beside the princess. So, did it mean that this was the reason why Jian Ao was targeting him? To help pave Jian Qingzhu's way? Even Jian Qingzhu was looking at Jian Ao with an odd expression. He was a little bit confused. The Tianshan Academy preached and trained in the Central Emperor realm. The elders in the Jian clan had always had high hopes for him, constantly wishing that he, Jian Qingzhu, would become a symbol of the 3,000 realms of the Great Path, and in the future, to cultivate in the divine prefecture. Moreover, he had been striving for this all his life. While Yi Futian's appearance out of the blue and peerless grace and talent had completely overshadowed him, he would still walk his own path. At that moment, his elders' move in attempting to undermine Yi Futian confused him. With their temperament, why would they do that? To help pave his way? If that were the case, he did not need it. Moreover, regardless of the reason why Yi Futian decided to hide his real strength, his contribution during the battle was something that everyone had witnessed. Furthermore, Yi Futian also saved him and a lot of the others from the Tianshan Academy. While Yi Futian did not start acting earlier, it was still ultimately his choice. They were not qualified to force him to do it. Father's words. I'm afraid I have to disagree with them. At that moment, Jian Qingzhu walked forward. He bowed gently to Princess Donghuang, sitting above the steps. I am sure that your majesty saw with your own eyes what happened on the battlefield. I was also there. Yi Futian prioritizing the safety of those from the Heavenly Mandate Academy is only human nature. If it were me, I would do the same and place the safety of the Tianshan Academy's practitioners as my #1 priority. I believe all of you present here would do the same. Who would say that they'd be willing to sacrifice their own? While putting the safety of the people from the Tianshan Academy, as well as others, as a precondition, Yi Futian was always giving his all while on the battlefield. His displays have always been the most exceptional in every major battle. He has killed many enemy Renwangs. The reason we were close to being defeated was due to the other factions from the divine prefecture showing weakness. After that, it was only because Yi Futian released his true strength that we managed to turn the tide. If it weren't for Yi Futian, many of the people from the factions here would still be on the battlefield. I do not think that those who have been saved are qualified to indict and convict the person who turned the tide around. Jian Qingzhu's words made many people focus their gaze on him. Even Princess Donghuang seriously took a look at him. To say that at that time required a certain degree of courage. After all, many factions targeted Yi Futian. Apart from the top factions within the 9 realms, there were also factions from the Divine Prefecture. At that moment they had allied. It was an alliance to target and deal with Yi Futian. For Jian Qingzhu to defend Yi Futian under the circumstances, it naturally required a great deal of courage. Moreover, he implied that the people from the factions were not qualified to say that Yi Futian was guilty. Stand down. This place has no room for you to speak, Jian Ao scolded Jian Qingzhu. Jian Qingzhu glanced at Jian Ao's eyes. Jian Ao's gaze was incredibly serious, seemingly unhappy with him. However, Jian Qingzhu did not avert his gaze. Practitioners should always be frank and honest, after all. It was something that Jian Ao taught him, so why would he go against his own belief and original intention now? If it were for him, Jian Qingzhu felt that it was unnecessary. Yi Futian was a little surprised. He did not expect that Jian Qingzhu would stand up and have an opinion that opposed his family. It impressed Yi Futian. However, it also meant that it became harder for him to understand the Tianshan Academy. Jian Ao? What exactly was he thinking? Princess Donghuang's gaze returned to Yi Futian. Then she asked, "Power of Yin, aren't you going to explain a bit?" Hearing her words, gazes began to focus on Yi Futian again. The power of Yin was something they had suspected, however, no one dared to bring it up. Everyone had their own guess. Answering the princess, said Yi Futian. Then he continued and said, "That day in the Shadow Realm, I was pursued by cultivators from the Evil Emperor Realm and was forced to go straight towards the core of the Shadow Realm to avoid the cultivators of the enemy. I went all the way to the Yin Storm Zone, and by then, my plane level could not support me anymore. So, I activated the Emperor's will, which I inherited in God's relic to protect my body. I also used the power I cultivated in an attempt to refine the power of Yin to preserve myself. However, the power of Yin was too strong. It infiltrated my body and spiritual soul. It was impossible to block it, and because of that, I was infiltrated and fainted. It seemed as if everything had stopped. Only my survival instinct and will to live kept me refining the power of Yin even as I became unconscious. As for what happened after that, I am sure Your Highness Princess already knows. After I woke up, I learned that I had refined a decent amount of the power of Yin that could be used by myself. As such, I synthesized them into my attacks. However, I did not know just how strong this power was. It was my first time unleashing it. What Yi Futian meant was that he himself did not know his real strength. As such, he was then able to explain why he had not utilized his full strength earlier. It was because he did not know that he could be that strong. Naturally, he dared not talk about getting possession of a divine item. That was too much. Fear was the reason why those factions wanted to get rid of him. If he added the divine item into the mix, the number of people wanting to kill him would only increase. Moreover, most knew just the dangers of the core area of the Shadow Realm. No one would believe that Yi Futian's plane level was high enough for him to obtain a divine item there. At most, they would guess whether the will of the Emperor had kept him alive and helped him master the power of Yin. However, even as it was, Yi Futian was still considered extremely dangerous. "Right now, you can quibble however you want," said Shingao of the Divine Palace coldly. After that, he looked at Princess Donghuang and said, "Your Royal Highness, our Shun clan lost at least 10 Renhuangs in this battle. They were the core of our Shun clan. They were also incredibly talented. If it were really because we were weaker than the enemy overall, then there is nothing more I can say. However, our Shun clan fought in a bloody battle while someone hid his strength, ultimately causing a lot of unnecessary casualties. My Shun clan is not worthy of asking for anything. However, whether the princess rules an award or a punishment, from this day forward, our Shun clan will officially declare war against the Heavenly Mandate Academy." On this day, a great opportunity had presented itself. Cultivators from each side had come out and ended the battle of the original realm. So, there was finally time to take a look at their affairs. Last time, the princess set a rule for the battle of the original realm. To fight, they needed to request a battle assignment at the empty imperial palace and not hurt the innocent. This time, they would use this as an opportunity to request a battle assignment. With this commotion that they had made, even if the princess did not convict Yi Futian, she would no longer intervene in their grudge anymore, right? They said that Yi Futian was guilty and should be beheaded. However, they also understood that it was almost impossible to convict Yi Futian. They had to strike first. They had to control the situation better. At the very least, they could not let the princess lean towards Yi Futian. If that were to happen, everything would be for naught and they would not be able to do anything. Our golden divine nation would also like to request a battle assignment, said Gaitsong. After that, each of them consecutively requested battle assignments. The people from the Heavenly Mandate Academy, as well as Yi Futian, did not seem too thrilled. They saw Yi Futian's strength and did not want to give him the opportunity to turn things around. The oppressive mood was subtle. These factions were some of the strongest factions in the Divine Prefecture and Original Realm. Their strength could not be underestimated. Even Princess Donghuang could not ignore their existence. These top factions were powers that the Divine Prefecture needed to rely on. Chao Jun stood behind Princess Donghuang. His gaze swept across the room. Mixed in his dignified gaze was a sense of coldness. It was an incredibly sharp gaze. On this day, on the outside, they said that they wanted to indict Yi Futian. However, in truth, they were also putting pressure on the princess. He could naturally see that the people feared Yi Futian's potential. They did not want a person like this to get the opportunity to reach the skies in one go. That was the reason why they struck first. Striking before the princess could decide if Yi Futian was guilty or not. This was their method for stopping the princess from awarding Yi Futian and thinking highly of him. After all, if and once the princess awarded Yi Futian and decided to cultivate and develop him, everything would have already been set in stone. By then, if they wanted to change, it would already be too late. They were all old foxes, cunning and calculative. They were not only planning against Yi Futian but also the princess. Then, the next moment, a powerful aura from afar reached their location. Many people raised their heads to look towards the source of the aura. There, they saw surges of a golden divine light of space. A group of cultivators descended from the sky. Darkness followed as the empty imperial palace was completely enveloped. The evil emperor realm and the dark court's cultivators had arrived. The people raised their heads to look at the two. The evil emperor realm was led by Xie. The dark court was led by the lord of the underworld, who stared coldly at Yi Futian with a gaze full of killing intent. The empty divine realm and the dark court have lost. You are all here at the empty imperial palace because you want to breach the agreement and start a war? Chao Jun's gaze swept across the enemy cultivators as he spoke coldly. The reason the war began in the first place was due to a mutual understanding between the three factions. Even though the factions wanted the original realm, each of the three sides did not want to lose too many troops. That was why an arranged fight was introduced. Lower Renhuangs would fight to lower their losses to the minimum. Each side had its own concerns. Otherwise, none of the three sides dared to imagine what would be the result of the battle. At that moment, since the Divine Prefecture had won the battle, there was a lower likelihood of them going back on their words. Otherwise, they would only have no choice but to wage a real war. Since we've lost, we will admit defeat, Xie answered. However, us coming here to visit you is not considered going back on our agreement, isn't that right? Our evil Emperor realm will promise not to get involved in all original realms affairs. Please continue whatever it is you are doing. It is even better if you can ignore us. Many people frowned. The two other major factions were definitely unhappy about the defeat. Moreover, Yi Futian killed a lot of their people. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. So, at that moment, it was time to see just how much Yi Futian meant to the princess. The reason why they kept repeating Yi Futian's errors and offense, highlighting the fact that Yi Futian disregarded the benefits of the divine prefecture and claiming that Yi Futian did not care about winning was so that the princess' perception of Yi Futian would deteriorate. Right now, it was time to see the results. However, you intentionally hid your strength, restraining yourself, and ultimately hindered the entire operations. You prioritized the benefits of the Heavenly Mandate Academy on the battlefield. Even though you had your reasons, this had led to many of the practitioners from the Divine Prefecture meeting their demise. On these, do you have any objections? Princess Donghuang asked as she faced Yi Futian. This time, it was time for the cultivators from the Heavenly Mandate Academy to look solemn. What was the princess's intention? No one could understand what she wanted. No emotion could be seen from her eyes, which could be regarded as absolute beauty. What the princess has said is true. I have no objections, admitted Yi Futian honestly. He could not deny it. Everyone clearly saw what happened on the battlefield. Princess Donghuang was also not stupid. Of course, she understood what she saw. The key was how to balance it. As such, it still depended on the princess's judgment. Princess Donghuang looked at Yi Futian. She waved her hands as bright and dazzling divine lights appeared, floating in front of her. It was a bright square box suffused with a frightening space will of the way, which made the area around it surrounded by bright and beautiful divine light. She waved her hands and the box flew towards Yi Futian. Then, Princess Donghuang said, "This is an important treasure. Now, I hand it over to you. I've said it before. We would grant rewards based on one's achievement during the battle. You contributed the most, and this is your reward." The box flew in front of Yi Futian. It floated in front of him, the bright divine light shining upon Yi Futian's handsome face. Multiple gazes fell on the box in front of Yi Futian. The box was unique, and the treasure inside the box was surely incredibly valuable. However, since it was granted by the princess, they did not dare to have any ideas. This was particularly true for the Divine Prefecture factions. Even if they were to snatch it away, they would still have to return it to the princess. Who would dare keep it as their own? Moreover, at that moment, they were very curious as to what the treasure was. "Thank you, princess." Yi Futian took the gift. He accepted directly and did not act overly courteous. With regard to what the item was, he would check it out later. "This is what you deserve. You do not need to thank me. Apart from that, hiding your strength and hindering the overall battle operations, which resulted in the demise of many from all sides, was your personal choice. Since we achieved victory in the end and since I only look at the result, I have no reason to punish you for your crimes." Princess Donghuang's word made the expression on the faces of the cultivators from many factions change. In particular, Shen Gao and the cultivators from the Shen clan. Did this mean that Princess Donghuang had decided to protect Yi Futian? However, Princess Donghuang was not finished. With that word, everyone stood straight and listened carefully to the words that were yet to come. "Just as I have no reason to punish you for your crimes, the other factions of the Divine Prefecture also participated in this battle. They have made a lot of contributions and sacrifices in this battle. Similarly, I have no reason to stop them from hating you or from exacting their vengeance upon you. As such, in terms of the grudge between the Divine Prefecture factions and yourself, I will not side with anyone. If you want to fight and wage war, you can do so based on my preset rules. On this, do you have any objections?" Princess Donghuang answered while looking at Yi Futian. The cultivators from the Shun clan breathed a sigh of relief after hearing the words of the princess. It seemed like the princess was very thoughtful and considerate in whatever she did. The lines between punishment and rewards were clear, and she treated both sides fairly, and this was enough. They never really expected the princess to sentence Yi Futian to death. They knew well enough that this was impossible. The true objective of their previous efforts was to ensure that the princess did not interfere with them dealing with Yi Futian. Otherwise, if the princess were to favor Yi Futian, it would be too late for them to deal with Yi Futian. Who would dare kill a person under the princess? The princess is clear in rewards and punishment. "I naturally do not have any objections," answered Yi Futian while nodding. Yi Futian could not find any fault in Princess Donghuang's approach. They were all representatives of the Divine Prefecture in the battle. He made the most contribution and was thus rewarded by the princess personally. However, the others also took part in the battle, so she would not interfere with their personal grudges or affairs. One could only say that this was an amazingly fair way to deal with the situation. However, the overall situation was still very disadvantageous for Yi Futian. At the moment, the number of people and factions wanting him dead had increased. Princess Donghuang nodded. She shifted her gaze toward the cultivators from the Shen clan and asked, "What about you? Do you have any objections?" "We naturally do not object to the princess's will," answered Shen Gao as he nodded. This result was sufficient. This time, as long as Princess Donghuang did not protect Yi Futian, he would be powerless. He would not be as lucky as the last time. Good. Princess Donghuang nodded. Princess, our Shen clan has had a grudge with Yi Futian for a long time. In addition to the incidents during the battle, we are prepared to conclude things. Yi Futian is from the Heavenly Mandate Academy. If the Heavenly Mandate Academy or the other factions help him, our Shen clan and the other factions will also intervene, said Shen Gao. What other factions want to take part in this battle? Asked Princess Donghuang as she looked toward the crowd. Our Golden Divine Nation will take part, Gai Tsang answered. Our holy land of Taichu has also lost a considerable amount of people. We will take part, answered the cultivators from the holy land of Taichu. The Martial God clan will also partake in the battle. The School of the Emperor's Star will take part as well. One after another, factions began to voice their opinions. It seemed as if they had a tacit understanding, or perhaps they had already communicated with each other through divine consciousness. The factions of the 9 realms and divine prefecture expressed their opinions one after another. All of them wanted to put Yi Futian to his death. Many from the 3,000 realms of the Great Path wanted to see Yi Futian rise. For example, many cultivators outside the empty imperial palace wanted to see the birth of a legend. However, at the same time, many people did not want to see a legendary person like him to reach his peak. In particular, the factions that had grudges against Yi Futian. They would not allow this. The Heavenly Mandate Academy and their allies were too strong. Once Yi Futian reached the top, this alliance would dominate the entire 3,000 realms of the Great Path. By then, the other factions would be affected directly. This time, the number of factions involved was higher than the earlier battle of the Divine Palace. This time, the Solar Divine Palace of the Solar Realm also announced that they would participate in the battle. They wielded the power of the sun and did not want the appearance of a peak existence who wielded the power of Yin. The Nantian Divine Kingdom will take part in the battle as a representative of the Heavenly Mandate Academy, said Emperor Nan, supporting the Heavenly Mandate Academy's side. However, allies of the Heavenly Mandate Academy was obviously weaker, and they would be completely overwhelmed. In particular, since they would be fighting under the rules set by Princess Donghuang, they would not need to worry. The Shen clan will join as well. Allies of the Heavenly Mandate Academy also showed their support one after another. However, in comparison to the other side, there was a huge gap. Regardless, as allies, if they did not stand up to protect Yi Futian right now, they would be targeted and pulverized in the future. Cultivators continued to speak up. Finally, Princess Donghuang asked, "Are there any more?" The 9 realms is in turmoil. I am surprised by how hated little Yi is among the people. Perhaps the Tianshan Academy should not have joined the battle outside God's relic. That way, we would not be faced with the storm right now, said the Tianshan Academy College chief, Jian Ao. He then continued and said, "Princess, since Yi Futian started this battle, it should end with him as well. If Yi Futian dies in battle, I hope it will also end this debacle." Princess Donghuang glanced at Jian Ao and then the rest of the others. Then she said, "What do you think?" Replying to the princess, "We have no objections," Shen Gao said. Yi Futian was too much of a threat, killing him would be enough. The others were far less of a threat than he was. Moreover, they had many opportunities in the future. Clearly, this was going to be a hunt, with the prey being Yi Futian. Everyone wanted him to die. Yi Futian's death would end everything. Since that is the case, our Tianshan Academy will also take part. We hope that order will be restored to the original realm as soon as possible, said Jian Ao with a strong sense of righteousness. He looked at the Heavenly Mandate Academy and said, I can only apologize first to little Yi now. Father, Jian Qingzhu shouted. He did not understand why they had to do that. They held no grudges against Yi Futian. Why did it have to come to this? Yi Futian raised his head to look at Jian Ao. He was curious. So, he asked, last time in the Shadow Realm, Elder, you did not lend a hand even as I was on the verge of death. On that, I hold no grudges. After all, you and I were mere acquaintances. We do not know each other that well. However, on the battlefield, I have at least shown kindness to your Tianshan Academy. Why are you, Elder, repaying my kindness with cruelty? Moreover, you are doing it with such dignity and righteousness. I am very much confused. Could you please clarify and enlighten me? If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Yi Futian's revelation helped many from Tianshan Academy understand. So, there was actually a story like this in the Shadow Realm. It was no wonder Yi Futian hesitated in helping them. Yi Futian's revelation helped many from Tianshan Academy understand. So, there was actually a story like this in the Shadow Realm. It was no wonder Yi Futian hesitated in helping them. This meant that Tianshan Academy ignored the plea of those in mortal danger first. Yi Futian hesitated and did not give his all, however he ultimately still extended his help. On this, Yi Futian could already be considered incredibly kind. If one were to argue that they were allies on the battlefield, were they not while they were in the Shadow Realm? Why did Tianshan Academy not help him then? Many shifted their gaze to where the people from Tianshan Academy gathered, particularly towards Jian Ao. The Tianshan Academy preached in the Central Emperor Realm. They were regarded as the #1 holy land throughout the 3,000 realms of the Great Path. They had cultivated numerous disciples, had countless cultivators, and were admired by many. After all, who in the land of the 9 realms had not heard of the Tianshan Academy name before? However, in a holy land like this, the college chief of the Tianshan Academy was actually a hypocrite? If what Yi Futian said was true, then in comparison, the actions of Tianshan Academy was indeed quite despicable. Yi Futian repaid cruelty with kindness, whereas the Tianshan Academy repaid kindness with cruelty. Moreover, the Tianshan Academy college chief actually announced their participation in the battle in the name of justice so that he could join the others in getting rid of the Heavenly Mandate Academy and Yi Futian, claiming that he would restore the original world to its order. However, the thing no one could understand was, why would Jian Ao do this? With his position and status, there was no need for him to lower himself to deal with Yi Futian using a method like this. After all, the Tianshan Academy held no grudges against Yi Futian. Even if Yi Futian were to rise, a holy land like the Tianshan Academy would not be affected in the slightest. That was unless they were afraid that the Heavenly Mandate Academy would replace the Tianshan Academy as the #1 holy land. That should not be the case. Some people shifted their gaze to Jian Qingzhu. They could gander a guess. After all, one of the things, or perhaps more accurately people, that Jian Ao prized most was his son. The son was regarded as Tianshan Academy's most outstanding person among the new generation. If it were for him, it was certainly possible. Without Yi Futian, Jian Qingzhu would become the #1 proud son of the original realm. Perhaps, the attention he would gain would be on a whole other level. At the moment, all the attention in the original realm was focused on Yi Futian. Jian Qingzhu also noticed the gaze of the people. He looked at his father. He did not understand. Tianshan Academy actually ignored someone on the verge of death. He had a feeling that Yi Futian was not lying. This made him feel quite embarrassed. On that day, the Shadow Realm was filled with powerful cultivators. The scene was extremely chaotic. Indeed, I did see you back then, but I did not have the time to provide assistance. With regard to you helping the people from our Tianshan Academy during the battle, I am indeed very grateful. Jian Ao was actually quite calm. He then continued and said, however, the disturbances in the original realm needs to be concluded. If the disturbances dispersed and vanished, the Heavenly Mandate Academy will remain the Heavenly Mandate Academy. No one will move. It is fine, even if you hate me. I understand. Jian Ao's answer was the equivalent of admitting to it. It was disappointing to many. While his words remained pretty, many people were already feeling that the college chief of the Tianshan Academy was posing as a person with high morals. Moreover, he was scheming. To make his move on Yi Futian at a time like this, to stand and oppose the Heavenly Mandate Academy. For the Heavenly Mandate Academy and Yi Futian, this was undoubtedly a disaster that could very well end them. After all, a situation like this would have already been extremely disadvantageous for Yi Futian and his allies. It looks like I will not get an explanation, Yi Futian said after hearing Jian Ao's answer. It was clear that Jian Ao would not tell him the reason. Was it because of the Heavenly Mandate Academy? Or was it because of Jian Qingju? Maybe it was something else entirely? He would not find out. Princess Donghuang also glanced at Jian Ao. After that, she returned her gaze at the others and said, "Since all of you have no objections, we will decide the two sides taking part in this battle. After 1 month, the battle will take place in the Heavenly Mandate realm. Both sides will select their own combatants. They are not allowed to raise even a hand against non-participants. The battle will end with one side's defeat. No one is allowed to exact revenge on anyone outside the battle. Do you have any objections?" The words of the princess will be remembered. We will only kill Yi Futian. We won't touch the people from the Heavenly Mandate Academy or their allies, said Xingao. As long as Yi Futian died, the enemy's side would crumble. Many people would die. However, the dissolution of the enemy alliance would naturally reduce their strength. It was a matter of time before they were annihilated. He was not going to be impatient. The remainder of the cultivators also nodded to agree with it. Yi Futian saw that Princess Donghuang was looking at him. So, he nodded and said, "Yi Futian has received his orders. If I die, this debacle will end. I do not hope to involve the innocent. As such, I would like the princess to help take care of them." He was also preparing for the worst. "I will promise you that." Princess Donghuang nodded. "Thank you, princess." Yi Futian bowed slightly. He then said, "This issue has concluded. We will have to start our journey back. Could I borrow the space teleportation grand matrix within the empty Imperial Palace?" Due to the latest incident, teleportation grand matrices that could access the factions of the 9 realms were built in the empty Imperial Palace so that backup and support could be provided to the cultivators of all sides in the least amount of time. Among them was, naturally, a way to reach the Heavenly Mandate realm. The reason Yi Futian did not use the typical way and instead asked to borrow the teleportation grand matrix was that he was wary of the Dark Court and Evil Emperor realm. He was worried that those 2 factions would make a move against him. As such, he decided to leave directly. Before Princess Donghuang could answer, the palace lord of the empty Imperial Palace standing not far in front of the princess announced, "You've worked hard in the battle today. All the factions can return by using the teleportation grand matrix directly." Yi Futian nodded and replied, "Thank you very much." As he finished speaking, he led the cultivators from the Heavenly Mandate Academy towards the matrix. Factions that were his allies also headed toward the matrices that led to their homes, their expressions solemn. However, they still had a month to prepare. Based on the rules of the princess, and since both sides had made an agreement, no one would make any moves beforehand. 1 month was sufficient, but in front of absolute strength, 1 month was, in reality, not enough to be meaningful. It would not make much difference. After all, cultivation is not something that could be achieved overnight. They could not realistically increase their strength by a lot in 1 month's time. The teleportation matrix lit up with bright lights. The Heavenly Mandate Academy, along with the other cultivator factions, left one after another. The Shen clan, Golden Divine Nation, and many other cultivators did not leave immediately. They still had issues to discuss, like how they would destroy the Heavenly Mandate Academy and kill Yi Futian. The boy was growing too fast. His battle prowess and potential too high. They would always be worried if he were left alive. If he were to be regarded highly by Donghuang the Great, entered the Imperial Palace, and reached the top quickly in the future, not to mention getting the opportunity to kill Yi Futian, but they would find it difficult to get rid of him. What awaited them in a situation like that would be to await Yi Futian in getting his revenge. That was the reason why they were so decisive and resolute, to the point where they even put pressure on the princess so that another battle would ensue. All this to get rid of future troubles. This time, more than half of the top factions in the 9 realms wanted Yi Futian's life. Whoever helped Yi Futian would die. The conclusion was set. No one could change it. How interesting. Shi Xie from the evil emperor realm laughed. He looked at Princess Donghuang and said, "I sure opened my eyes today. We will meet again in the future." After finishing his sentence, he led the cultivators from the empty divine realm and left. This time, Yi Futian killed a lot of his people, among them several heirs to top factions. This determined that there was no longer a possibility of recruiting him. Otherwise, he would lose the hearts of the people and, at the same time, displease many others. Since he could not obtain and use him, the only other option was to remove him. However, at that moment, it seemed like the original realm was in a state of internal turmoil, which might also end with Yi Futian losing his life. With that, they only needed to stay on the sidelines as observers. If needed, they certainly did not mind doing other things. The cultivators from the Dark Court also left. Only then did the darkness subside. The practitioners of the empty imperial palace were in a complicated mood. The people who watched the battle outside the empty imperial palace were also the same. It was not what they had in mind, and it was certainly not the conclusion that they wanted to see. Yi Futian and the others returned to the Heavenly Mandate Academy. Everyone was in a bad mood. They had just achieved a great victory and defended the original realm, preventing it from being divided. However, apart from getting the halo, the one who made the biggest contribution, Yi Futian, was faced with a life-or-death situation. The people from the Heavenly Mandate Academy were in a very bad mood. Their faces were cold and hard, a tinge of anger mixed within. She should know just how bad this situation is for you, but she did not try and stop it. Yaya, who was sitting beside Yi Futian, said. Naturally, the person she was referring to was Princess Donghuang. Princess Donghuang rewarded Yi Futian and did not give him a sentence. However, not protecting Yi Futian after he showed his true strength meant that Yi Futian was now in an extremely precarious situation. Even though it seemed like she was helping Yi Futian, the reality was that she did not do so. Perhaps she was indeed dissatisfied with Futian hiding his strength, said Lord Taishan. Perhaps, said Yi Futian quietly. However, this princess is hard to comprehend. Indeed. Lord Taishan nodded. The princess never shows her emotions. It is impossible to know what she is thinking. This time, it is very dangerous. Futian, why don't you? Yi Futian looked at Lord Taishan. From Lord Taishuan's gaze, he knew his intention. To ask Yi Futian to leave and head to the Divine Prefecture to train and cultivate his powers. Staying there would impede him. He shook his head. The timeline is set by the princess. She was also a witness when the battle was agreed upon and set. How can we go back on our words in that? If we were to break our promises, it would be hard to find our feet ever again, even in the Divine Prefecture. Lord Taishin nodded. Going away was also difficult. By then, the academy was most likely already surrounded by spies from the enemy. Then head to the other realms. Yu Sheng was extremely dissatisfied. At worst, he could go train in the devil world, away from the Divine Prefecture. There's still some time. Let's put this aside for now. Didn't the princess reward me with a treasure? Now is a good time to take a look at it. Let's see just how generous the princess is, said Yi Futian with a laugh. He seemed to be intentionally trying to soothe the tense and somber atmosphere. However, he was indeed quite curious as to what treasure did Princess Donghuang give him. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Heavenly Mandate Academy. The day was calm and quiet. It was as if nothing had happened earlier. Heavenly Mandate Academy. The day was calm and quiet. It was as if nothing had happened earlier. In a courtyard within the academy, two figures sat quietly on a bench. They leaned back on the bench and looked particularly relaxed. I heard something big happened outside. How come you still have time to sit here? Hua Fenglu looked at Yi Futian and asked. He was spending his remaining days at the Heavenly Mandate Academy. His everyday life was very relaxed. He was also not all that aware of the things happening outside. No one told him about the things this time as well. Master, you are already quite old. Naturally, I should spend more time with you, answered Yi Futian with a chuckle. Are you cursing me right now? Hua Fenglu asked. No, I would never dare to do so. With your current condition, Master, you will most certainly outlive this disciple of yours, Yi Futian replied with a laugh. Now, I do not have such a wild wish. You should be the one living longer. Hua Fenglu sighed. Yi Futian single-handedly founded the Heavenly Mandate Academy. Ever since he came here, several major incidents had occurred. Things had been going back and forth, and things never calmed down. He knew that Yi Futian was facing a lot of issues and was burdened with many responsibilities. Being able to see Jiyu and how close and intimate Jiyu and Yi Futian had grown, Hua Fenglu had no regrets in his life. Nianyu had also been growing gradually. Nandu Wanin, Tang Lan, and himself were all retired. If it were really possible, he did not mind living a few years less, as long as Yi Futian and the others could live in peace. Are there elders like you who talk about their disciples like you? Yi Futian smiled wryly. Can't help it. You're too much of a troublemaker, said Hua Fenglu. While he said it casually, his words were immensely profound and meaningful. The one who understood Yi Futian most was most probably Hua Fenglu. Of course, it was just a reminder. He would not try to convince Yi Futian. It could not be helped as he was born extraordinary, so he had to face his fate one way or another. Sure, then if I, your disciple, am not around, you should remember to take good care of yourself, said Yi Futian as he shook his head and chuckled. Hua Fenglu glanced at Yi Futian after hearing his words and asked, What are you going to do now? Nothing much, I might just leave and will be gone for a while, answered Yi Futian. Making arrangements after? Hua Fenglu stared at Yi Futian. Again. Yi Futian was speechless. It seemed as if Hua Fenglu had developed some psychological trauma. Master, you are the person who is going to become the great emperor's father-in-law. Yi Futian looked at Hua Fenglu. However, Hua Fenglu kept staring into his eyes. It was as if he was intentionally trying to not put any pressure on them. I will go and visit the other masters, Yi Futian said as he stood up. Hua Jiyu followed and got up though she did not let go of his hands. Nianyu imitated her and held onto Yi Futian's other hand. Yi Futian smiled wryly. It was like having his wife on one side and a lover on the other. Alright then. Both of you will come with me. Yi Futian brought the two of them with him and left the place. They arrived at Qi Xiangang and his group's residence. Qi Xiangang and a few seniors were there. Fei Xue had also just returned after cultivating at Shen Luoshue's place. She was sitting beside Qi Xiangang. Upon seeing Yi Futian's arrival, Yan Yuan and Nan Zhai, who were both cultivating on the side, also walked over. They smiled and shouted, Younger brother. Big brother, second brother. Yi Futian walked forward and then shouted at Qi Xiangang, Master. Qi Xiangang addressed Yi Futian and said, Have a seat. I will. Yi Futian sat down. Jiyu sat quietly beside him. Nianyu, on the other hand, had gone to find Fei Xue, constantly calling Sister Fei Xue passionately. Master, do you remember our previous discussion about how the Great Path is boundless? However, right now, it is incredibly difficult to spread this teaching in the 9 realms, said Yi Futian. Many people and factions did not want to see the Heavenly Mandate Academy rise to power. Some were even pushing to have the Heavenly Mandate Academy dissolve and crumble. That is natural. Humans will naturally prioritize themselves and place their benefits first. Everything else comes after that. If you want to preach and spread our teachings all over the realms, it will most certainly affect the benefits of many. Even when Donghuang the Great conquered and united the world, he could not truly make the Divine Prefecture one. The 9 realms has separate factions, and the Divine Prefecture is also most definitely the same. As such, what we want is most probably just an idealized concept that suits one region, said Qi Xiangang. Yi Futian nodded. The world was too big. There were many practitioners, and every single one was different from another. As such, uniting everyone into one was not possible. Master, what kind of person do you think Dong Huang the Great is? Yi Futian asked. A man with talent and a bold vision. A one-of-a-kind genius and the symbol of an era. A character like that is not someone whom I can easily judge, said Qi Xiangang. And in terms of the person himself, I had never met him before, so, naturally, I do not know. However, from the records, he could be said to be a legend of an era. However, Emperor Yi Qing. Yi Futian opened his mouth to speak. That is unclear. That period in the history of decades past is a secret of the divine prefecture. The people of the original realm knows even less about it. Perhaps it was a clash in their ideology, or perhaps it was some other reason, Qi Xiangang answered with a sigh. Both these emperors were symbols of an era and the start of another era. However, Emperor Yi Qing fell while Dong Huang the Great conquered the divine prefecture. It was a forbidden topic. They could not even get close to the truth. Some had guessed that they were capable of suffering and going through difficulties together but did not share their wealth. The divine prefecture only needed one master. After all, such stories are unbelievably common and have taken place multiple times in history. However, Qi Xiangang felt that it might be due to other reasons. After all, the two emperors were never normal, to begin with. Yi Futian nodded lightly. It was impossible to uncover this secret while he stayed in the original realm. He needed to get to the divine prefecture. Moreover, he also needed to get into contact with someone at a higher level. Master, brothers, no matter what happens to the Heavenly Mandate Academy in the future, you have to cultivate calmly. If the Heavenly Mandate Academy is faced with a crisis in the future, please leave. The reason I founded the Heavenly Mandate Academy in the first place was to spread our ideology so that the Heavenly Mandate realm can stand proud within the 9 realms. However, it looks like the 9 realms is getting more chaotic by the day. No one knows the future of the Heavenly Mandate Academy. If there is a time where it can no longer be maintained, just let it be, Yi Futian said. Qi Xiangang looked at him. Yen Yuan and Nan Zhai also looked at him. A formless air flowed around Fei Xue. Fei Xue, stop trying to peek at me, Yi Futian smiled and said to Fei Xue while looking into her eyes. She could peek into him and see his real inner emotion. I have already felt it, said Fei Xue. Yi Futian forced a smile as he shook his head. This talent was seriously unbelievable. So, how am I feeling? Yi Futian asked. In summary, no sadness and despair, answered Fei Xue with a gentle smile. Naturally, she knew what had happened, and for Yi Futian to show this emotion. Did this mean that he had a plan to deal with it? You are amazing, Yi Futian said with a chuckle. Do you plan to leave? Yen Yuan asked Yi Futian. Perhaps, replied Yi Futian. I will have to trouble older brothers to help take care of the master in the future, even though I did not really take care of him even when I am here. You don't have to worry about me, Qi Xiangang said to Yi Futian. Do what you want to do. Just remember what I told you last time. Yes, I remember. Yi Futian nodded. Relax. We will take good care of ourselves, Qi Xiangang said again. Yi Futian nodded. He was not really all that worried about Qi Xiangang, to be honest. By now, everything was already on track. The only thing left was to destroy the Shun clan to avenge his master. Then, younger brother will take my leave first. Yi Futian got up and excused himself. After that, he left the place. After he left, Fei Xue gazed at his back and mumbled gently, but there's a slight sense of reluctance to leave, worry and a tinge of sadness. Qi Xiangang gazed at Yi Futian's back. Perhaps Yi Futian was hiding something from them. However, he believed that Yi Futian would deal with it appropriately. By now, he was already a big shot who could influence the entire original realm. He had grown too much over these years. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Yi Futian went to the practitioners in the 9 states to visit Dozhan, Zhuge Qingfeng and Gang, and chatted with them, making further arrangements with them. Yi Futian went to the practitioners in the 9 states to visit Dozhan, Zhuge Qingfeng and Gang, and chatted with them, making further arrangements with them. After that, Yi Futian returned to the cottage in the Heavenly Mandate Academy. He went to a place for cultivation first. Xia Qingyuan was cultivating there. Seeing Yi Futian come over, the pretty Xia Qingyuan light of life dispersed and vanished. The holy lotus shut, and her beautiful eyes shifted to look at Yi Futian. "It has been a while since I spoke to you, princess." Yi Futian smiled and said to Xia Qingyuan. Xia Qingyuan felt odd. She looked at Yi Futian and said, "The divine prefecture has only one princess." Yi Futian understood what she meant. He smiled and said, "In the past, I often bickered with you, princess. Nowadays, I address you by your name more often, which is actually harder to get used to. Perhaps in my subconscious, I still regarded you as a princess." Xia Qingyuan's brows raised slightly. She seemed displeased. She said coldly, "If you don't have any business here, please stop interfering with my cultivation." "Yes, that's the feeling I'm talking about," said Yi Futian as he chuckled. Xia Qingyuan often spoke to him like this in the past. Cold and arrogant. He seemed to have got used to the dynamic between the two of them. Later, as things changed, he always felt that there was something wrong. Of course, he knew what the reason was. Xia Qingyuan glared at him. This guy did not just come to find her just so he could quarrel with her, right? Who would have thought that, even after so many years, having experienced with the vicissitudes of life and so many major changes, and with the princess having already proven her path and has become a queen, I can still feel that you are that cold and beautiful princess, said Yi Futian with a laugh. When she was in God's relic, Xia Qingyuan's spiritual soul assimilated into the lotus that had the karma of the great path and was where the great lotus emperor sat on when he reached enlightenment. As a result, Xia Qingyuan transformed thoroughly, and her cultivation speed also increased later. Now, she may even be stronger than Emperor Xia. Are you complimenting me? Asked Xia Qingyuan. Yi Futian walked beside her and said, I guess so. Now that the princess has proven her path, may I ask if you have already decided on a date to return to Emperor Xia's realm? Xia Qingyuan was stunned. Her body trembled gently for a bit, and the light in her eyes seemed to have dimmed. She appeared to be intentionally avoiding Yi Futian's gaze as she looked at a loss. When would she return to Emperor Xia's realm? That's right. Why was she still here? Did she not already decide that she would leave once she reached the Renhuang stage? At the moment, she had already proven herself and reached this stage at the Heavenly Mandate Academy. She was already a queen. Why did she not return to Emperor Xia's realm to help her father? If she were to return, her strength would be enough to terrorize the surrounding realms. So then why had she not yet left? Emperor Xia loves and dotes on you. Many years have passed by since he last saw you. I am certain he misses your Royal Highness very much. The Heavenly Mandate Academy has a teleportation matrix that connects to the Crimson Dragon realm. You can return to Emperor Xia's realm after getting to the Crimson Dragon realm. That would quicken your journey a lot. If your royal princess wants to return one day, do remember to give me a holler. I will personally send you off, said Yi Futian with a gentle smile. Xia Qingyuan looked at him, immobile as if wanting to see through him. This time, Yi Futian was the one who intentionally avoided her gaze. It was as if he could not endure looking at that pair of sad-looking yet immensely beautiful eyes. At the moment, Xia Qingyuan's eyes were without light. It looked as if she had lost all the brilliance of becoming a queen. It even seemed a little bit empty. She should have left a long time ago. Why did she have to wait until he came to hurry her? However, did he want to send her away at that time? He would definitely not let Hua Jiyu go. I will leave in a few days, said Xia Qingyuan. I will cultivate in Emperor Xia's realm in the future. As a queen in Emperor Xia's realm, her father would be able to rest. She could go sightseeing outside too. It seemed kind of nice. That sounds good too. Princess, you choose the time. Remember to let me know, said Yi Futian. He then continued, if there's an opportunity in the future, I will go and visit yous in Emperor Xia's realm. That is unnecessary. After I return to Emperor Xia's realm, I don't ever want to see you again, said Xia Qingyuan coldly. It was unclear if she meant it or not. Now, princess, you should not be so narrow-minded, Yi Futian said, laughing. Then, he said, all right then, I will not disturb your cultivation anymore. As he finished speaking, he got up and turned around to leave. The moment he turned around, the smile on his face vanished. After that, he sighed in his mind. Some things were naturally known without it being said. However, he could not tell what was going to happen in the future. Sending Xia Qingyuan back to cultivate in Emperor Xia's realm was already considered a relatively perfect ending. He hoped that she would return as soon as possible. He knew that his words today were hurtful. They were intentional. He hoped that Xia Qingyuan wouldn't take it too personally. Yi Futian left the place and headed to another. In this cottage, several disciples were present, including older brother Sword Saint, second sister Zhuge Mingyue, third brother Gu Donglu. There were also Yu Sheng, Yi Wuchen, and a few others. They were gathered together, seemingly in the midst of discussing something. Upon seeing Yi Futian arrive, Zhuge Mingyue glanced at him with a smile before asking, "Made a round?" "Yeah." Yi Futian nodded. "I just came back from Qingyuan's place." "What did you say?" Zhuge Mingyue stared curiously at Yi Futian. Yi Futian looked at his second sister's faint smile and forced a smile before replying, "I asked her when she will return to Emperor Xia's realm to cultivate." "Why?" Zhuge Mingyue understood his intentions after hearing his reply. She knew that Yi Futian always wanted to plan and do things properly. However, everyone would choose, and it was not something that was up to him to plan. "Yu Sheng!" Yi Futian suddenly shouted. Yu Sheng raised his head to look at him. "If Mei Ting wants to bring you to cultivate, you should just go with him," said Yi Futian, addressing Yu Sheng. Yu Sheng did not immediately answer after hearing his words. Instead, he looked thoughtful as if he had not yet decided on it. What would happen if he were to leave with Mei Ting? He did not know. At that moment, he did not have an answer. Even though he had a habit of listening to Yi Futian, he did not immediately agree to it this time. At that time, Gu Donglu, who was on the side, suddenly shouted, "Little brother!" Yi Futian looked at him. Then, Gu Donglu continued, "Are you really able to ensure that there will be no loss?" "It is probably not going to be a problem," Yi Futian answered. "What do you mean probably?" Gu Donglu was clearly dissatisfied with Yi Futian's answer. His brows furrowed together tightly. Yi Futian's answer seemed to imply that he himself was not absolutely confident. This was not an answer that Gu Donglu wanted. Otherwise, he did not want Yi Futian to risk himself. Moreover, for a major event like this. "There is no problem," Yi Futian replied after noticing his third brother's gaze. He thought in his mind, "It does not really matter when it is. Third brother is still so ever imposing. It is just like back then when we cultivated at the cottage. One glare from third brother and no one else would even dare to move." It looked like, even now, third brother still had a rather high status. However, everything or everyone has its vanquisher, and second sister was the vanquisher of third brother. "Right." Finally, Gu Donglu nodded satisfactorily. Since Yi Futian was so sure, he would also believe it. Next, all that was left was to watch. Days went by, and apart from setting aside time to settle some issues, Yi Futian had been cultivating. The Heavenly Mandate Academy was extremely calm and quiet. However, something big was happening in the outer realms. Multiple cultivators had gathered in the Heavenly Mandate City. No one knew just how many famous and great characters were present. News of the battle between the three hyper-strong factions had already been spread all across the 9 realms. Yi Futian's name was common knowledge. No soul under the heavens did not recognize his name. However, an unbelievable genius, an unparalleled character of an era, who turned the tide of the battle of the original realm all by himself, did not receive the treatment he deserved. On the contrary, he was faced with a major crisis. Half the top factions of the original realm sought trouble with him all at the same time. It was condemned by countless people. The top factions of the original realm were most definitely doing this because they were afraid of Yi Futian's talent after his earlier overwhelming display of strength. All of them wished for the death of Yi Futian. Now, inside this Heavenly Mandate City, the cultivators of each faction had arrived. They stared and glared at every move the Heavenly Mandate Academy made every day. Yi Futian had no chance of escaping. The moment he showed any signs of intending to escape, those people would no longer maintain in hiding. The entire heavenly mandate city was surrounded by an invisible storm. The storm and the rain was coming. Once it was time, the top factions would suddenly appear, surrounding the heavenly mandate academy before killing Yi Futian. However, even as they were shrouded in a storm like this, the holy land of their ideals remained firmly standing as if it would never fall. In addition to that, the holy land of their ideals remained peaceful and quiet within. There were no signs of anxiety or restlessness. No one attempted to leave or escape. Of course, there was no need to do so as well. The rules set by the princess demanded that the innocent would be protected. Many people of the Heavenly Mandate Academy were still discussing the battle targeting the Divine Palace, about how many cultivators were involved and how Yi Futian survived by killing the High Order Renhuang after releasing the will of the Emperor. Moreover, it was with the help of Mei Ting. However, what about this time? The enemy's camp was a lot scarier. Moreover, they were determined to kill Yi Futian so that they could prevent any future problems. The other factions involved in this were also forced to join hands. Could Yi Futian survive this time? The day had finally come. The Heavenly Mandate Academy was as quiet as ever. Outside the Heavenly Mandate Academy, a huge number of cultivators stood high in the air while many others were stationed on the ground. They all looked toward the Heavenly Mandate Academy. The holy land of the ideals for the Heavenly Mandate realm was as quiet as ever. It was as if it was just another day. However, today was the day the two sides would meet and fight. With the Heavenly Mandate Academy at the center, rays of might were released before they were pushed inside the academy. These arrays of might came from all sides and permeated every location. They kept staring at the academy. In the Heavenly Mandate City, with the Heavenly Mandate Academy as its center, countless cultivators had arrived. In the Heavenly Mandate City, with the Heavenly Mandate Academy as its center, countless cultivators had arrived. All the inns and taverns were bursting at their seams. It could be said that this place was currently the center of attention in the 9 realms. Now, Yi Futian's fame was like the sun during high noon. Everyone paid attention to everything about him. Moreover, the various forces of the 9 realms wanted to kill him. It was possible that this legendary figure of the 9 realms would soon die. Last time, he had already faced a life-threatening crisis. This time, he might truly be unable to escape unscathed. Too many people wanted to kill him. They almost covered all of the top forces of 9 realms. Those after Yi Futian included Shen Clan, Golden Divine Nation, Solar Divine Palace, Martial God Clan, Sky Reaching School, and many others. There were also the forces of the Divine Prefecture. Even the number 1 training holy land of the 3,000 realms of the Great Path, Tianshan Academy, also participated this time around. One could imagine what sort of catastrophe Yi Futian was faced with this time around. This was a truly deadly predicament. They were certain to kill him. Yi Futian had made a huge contribution by winning the war over the original realm. Afterward, the other party had actually suggested killing Yi Futian. By doing so, they might even draw the ire of the princess. The strength of their conviction was plain to see. Mei Ting had also come this time. He still drank wine at the tavern he did last time. The situation this time around seemed to be similar to back then. However, it was also completely different. This time, it was even more dangerous. Mei Ting had always been speculating about Yi Futian's identity. Was he related to Emperor Yi Qing? Then, if Emperor Yi Qing was behind all this, would the 3 top cultivators who they encountered last time appear? If they appeared and were discovered by the members of Donghuang Imperial Palace, they would most likely die. Donghuang the Great would surely send people to pursue them. Hence, Mei Ting wanted to know whether they would choose to emerge from the darkness. This time, the members of Donghuang Imperial Palace might come in person. Even if they did appear, they wouldn't be able to help the situation. If Yi Futian was killed, could Yu Xing be brought back to the Devil Emperor in the Devil World? Mei Ting drank wine quietly alone. No one disturbed him. After all, currently, many people recognized him. The last time he appeared had been too astonishing. Additionally, it was also in this tavern. It was naturally effortless for people to recognize him in the same setting. Hence, Many people looked at him from a distance. He was a demonic general figure from the devil world, a super cultivator. The original realm was truly a land of crouching tigers and hidden dragons. Nobody knew how many extraordinary figures were currently here. The divine prefecture, the dark court, the empty divine realm, and the devil world. 4 god-level forces were gathered here. Aside from that, various forces from the lower worlds of the divine prefecture, as well as almost all the top forces of 3,000 realms of the Great Path, might also be here this time. One could imagine what an event this was. Many people were wondering whether such a grand event had ever occurred in the original realm before. Such grandeur might be unprecedented. At that moment, a group of silhouettes descended on the tavern. The leading figure had a somewhat sinister temperament. His appearance was extraordinarily handsome. He looked very young and his gaze was deep and lively. Sir May, the person who arrived, cried out loudly. However, his tone was not too respectful, it was just a formality. Mei Ting raised his head. The pair of deep, jet-black eyes looked at him. Then, Mei Ting raised his glass again and continued drinking quietly. The person was not someone Mei Ting was familiar with. Mei Ting knew who the person was. He was a cultivator of the empty divine realm. This youth was most likely the monstrous youth that was extremely famous in the empty divine realm. He was Xie. He was in existence with the divine body of the Great Path. However, regardless of how talented the other party was or how high their status was, as a demonic general of the devil world, Mei Ting did not need to be polite with the other party. Mei Ting was not associated with him in any way. He did not need to put up an act and grovel. He had always disliked talking with strangers. Most of the cultivators of the devil world had arrogant personalities. Xie also did not care. He smiled and sat down at the table next to Mei Ting's. He poured himself a cup of wine. He then raised his glass at Mei Ting and said, "I have long heard of you, Sir May of the devil world, but I have never had the honor of meeting you. Allow me to give you a toast today, Sir May." Without waiting for Mei Ting to respond, he bottomed up his cup of wine on his own. Mei Ting still minded his own business and drank his wine as though there was no one around. This caused the cultivators of the empty divine realm to be somewhat displeased. The people beside Xie frowned. A formless pressure emanated from their bodies. Among them, there were also extraordinary top figures. They were all existences who were famous in the empty divine realm. They were naturally similarly arrogant and proud. Seeing that Mei Ting was ignoring them, they felt dissatisfied. However, Xie did not mind. Mei Ting ignored him, but he still said to Mei Ting, "I have heard that Sir May had arrived in the original realm long ago. However, Sir May has been the only person from the devil world here all this while." He lamented, "No wonder Sir May enjoys drinking wine here. The view here is quite impressive. Seeing the number 1 genius of the original realm perishing before you is also entertaining. If I were Princess Donghuang, I would be reluctant to kill Yi Futian." Although Yi Futian had defied orders and even kept his ability hidden, that was how all of the members of the evil emperor realm acted. Their personal benefit was their top priority. Everyone for himself, and the devil takes the hindmost. The members of the divine prefecture were forced to kill Yi Futian. If it were in Xie's empty divine realm, he would have directly intervened. However, since Yi Futian was an enemy, Xie could only watch as Yi Futian died. The cultivators of the Dark Court also arrived. However, they headed over to another place. They were also here to observe the battle and watch Yi Futian die. The last time they invaded the Heavenly Mandate Academy, they had not killed Yi Futian. The Lord of the Underworld somewhat regretted this. This time, although they could not attack, they could still watch. Yi Futian would certainly be killed. The sky above the Heavenly Mandate Academy suddenly became exceptionally downcast. From afar, auras descended. It was as though a heavenly might was descending from the sky and enveloping the entire academy. The cultivators of the Heavenly Mandate Academy looked up into the sky. As they were enveloped by the oppressive aura, they all felt a suffocating sensation. It was as though the god of death was about to descend upon them. Many disciples in the academy had ugly expressions. Their gazes were extremely dissatisfied. These past few days, Futian had always been calm, going about everywhere. Every time they saw him, he was smiling and friendly with them. However, the disciples of the Heavenly Mandate Academy felt that he had already accepted reality and was facing it calmly. There was also news that spread within the Heavenly Mandate Academy. Rumor has it that Futian had already settled his affairs. It was as though he knew that he would be facing such a predicament. Renhuang Yi led the Divine Prefecture to victory and prevented the original realm from being divided up. Now, the various forces of the Divine Prefecture want to deal with Renhuang Yi instead. It is truly a mockery. Some disciples in the academy were very dissatisfied. Even Princess Donghuang has also silently acknowledged this act. It is truly laughable. If we had known, Renhuang Yi should not have participated in the war. He fought for the original realm and emerged victorious. However, he brought about such an end for himself. It is truly laughable. Mocking voices sounded in the Heavenly Mandate Academy. The disciples of the academy were extremely dissatisfied with this. Although nothing would happen to them, the person involved was Futian. Among the junior cultivators of the academy, who didn't idolize Futian. Yet, no matter how much they complained, they could not change the outcome. In the heavens above, silhouettes appeared. It was as though a large army was approaching. Their pressure could be felt across the sky. These silhouettes were divided into different groups. There weren't many of them, yet their auras were all very frightening. The cultivators of the Heavenly Mandate Academy noticed that they were almost all upper-level Renowangs. Clearly, for this battle, they were not planning to use people with weak cultivation. Only upper-level Renowangs had the qualifications to join the fight. All those below the rank of upper-level Renhuang did not need to participate. After sensing this powerful pressure, the members of the Heavenly Mandate Academy turned pale. This lineup was too powerful. It could only truly be felt when faced head-on. This time, the top 3 figures of the Shen clan had all arrived. There were also the top 2 cultivators of Golden Divine Nation, as well as the other various major forces. With such a lineup, let alone the Heavenly Mandate Academy, they could even raise the entire Heavenly Mandate realm. In the 9 realms, who could stand against this lineup? There was also a cultivator from the Tianshan Academy, just one. The college chief of the Tianshan Academy, Jian Ao, had come in person. No one else had come. The Divine Palace Lord looked at Jian Ao. He had also not imagined that the college chief of the number 1 training holy land of the 3,000 realms of the Great Path would choose to kill Futian, someone whom the original realm owed a debt of gratitude. In the last war, if it weren't for Futian, the original realm would have been divided up. Who knew how many people would have lost their lives then? However, in the current original realm, who would fight for Futian? On the contrary, they were all here to kill him. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.